overheard one of my employees saying to an upset customer, "Sir, I work in our corporate office. I had nothing to do with the problem you're talking about." It was her attempt to get the customer to calm down. But you know what? That didn't calm the customer. Her words made the customer even more intense. I pulled my employee aside and I explained to her that she was actually escalating the situation with the very words she hoped would get the customer to back down. The thing is, with de-escalation, you have to take action in the present to move the customer toward a calmer state and toward a solution. You can't fight fire with fire like my employer was trying to do. You have to be the water that puts the fire out. In this video, we'll talk about exactly what your role is in de-escalation. I'll give you 3 things you need to do to move the conversation forward to a more rational state. And I'll give you some fantastic phrases you can use to de-escalate a situation. De-escalation requires you do 3 things. You have to create calm with a customer. You need to assertively take charge of the situation to preempt more intense emotion, and you must move the interaction forward. So, the first thing you need to do with de-escalation is create calm. My employee did the opposite of creating calm. She intensified the customer's emotion and ended up making things harder for herself. You create calm by avoiding inflammatory words. Instead of, "I had nothing to do with your problem," she could have said, "I'm glad you called us so we can look into this and see what's happened." Create calm by using anti-inflammatory words and by using words that show the customer that getting to the bottom of the problem is as important to you as it is to them. Statements like these work well. "I'm sorry you've had such a frustrating experience. This is no more acceptable to us than it is to you. Thanks for taking the time to let us know." Responses like these show the customer you're on their side. Customers won't rebut these statements and you'll begin to create calm. Creating calm will get you in the right direction, but to maintain control, you have to assertively take charge. If your calming statement works for a few seconds, but later the customer gets more intense, maybe they're over talking you, cussing, or yelling, you take charge by saying something like, "I'm trying to help you, but if you continue to yell and swear, I'm going to ask that you call back another time. It's up to you. Which would you prefer? I'm sorry. It is impossible for me to help you while listening to that language. If it stops, I can help. If a few minutes helps you calm down before we continue, that would be fine. You can certainly call us back. I want to help you, yet the language is getting in the way." The final thing you need to do in de-escalation is to take action right now and move toward a solution. The whole idea is to move forward out of the past problem. So after you've begun to create calm and you know you're in charge, you say something that lets the customer know you're working to get to the bottom of the problem. Maybe that's, "What I'll do is take a look into your account and see what's going on." Your customer generally won't get more intense when you use these steps. They become noticeably more calm. If you start off right with a calming statement and maintain your control with assertive statements to keep you in charge, moving to a solution and toward closure will be the next logical step.
Let's start off with this. What not to say. Don't yell at people. One of the worst things you can ever say to someone who's angry is this: "You need to calm down." So don't say that, because never in the history of the world has that worked. Why not? Why doesn't that work? Telling people to calm down. They're angry, just tell them to calm down. Well, I think it has to do with that whole just thing. Just calm down. How about the last time you were feeling a certain way and you were all angry? Would you like somebody to just tell you, "Hey, just calm down"? Or maybe you're struggling with anxiety and people are like, "Hey, just don't be anxious." Oh, okay. I just won't be anxious anymore. Oh my goodness, I just shouldn't be angry? Cool, I got it. Thank you so much. That thought just never occurred to me. So what do? How do we talk to people who are angry? The first thing to say is this: look, we all have a right to be angry. It's really interesting because we have a tendency to believe that our anger is justified. We have a tendency to believe that the way we express anger is acceptable, but the way other people express anger is not. That's just not true. The reality is everyone has a right to feel angry. And you might know that here and say, I know, I got that here, but there's a difference between getting it here and getting it here. In other words, putting it into practice. So when someone around you is angry, the first thing to do is acknowledge their anger, right? Hey, look, you're really angry right now. I see you fired up. I'm really sorry to see you this fired up. Acknowledge the anger that they have there, because that's the first step. The second step is this: don't take it personally. People's anger, just like your anger, isn't about other people. It's about you and how you're dealing with the situation. Other people's anger, even if it's directed directly at you, isn't about you. It's about them. It's about how they're dealing with their emotion of anger. So don't take it personally. Now look, that's something that's so much easier said than done. But as someone who has specialized in working with people convicted of violent crimes, as someone who has been down to the block where the most violent offenders in the country are held, and listen to people just scream, so any insecurity I've ever had, people yelling, screaming at me, everything. I've been around people's anger and intense anger for nearly 20 years now. And the one thing I've learned is that anger is not personal. It's not about you. It's about themselves. It's about people. It's about themselves. And the same is true for my own anger. If I'm angry with someone, it has nothing to do with that person. It has everything to do with my view of that situation. And that's empowering, and that's important to know. And I say it's empowering because if I'm in control of my anger, then I can be in control of changing my anger. The third thing to do is recognize this. When people are angry, they're hurt. In other words, you wouldn't say to somebody, don't say ouch like that. You wouldn't tell them how to express their pain. And in the same sense, when they're angry, they're hurt. So they're expressing their pain in a way that is yelling and saying things that, again, aren't personal. So don't try to stop people from being angry. Don't feed into other people's anger. And finally, understand that anger comes from a place of hurt. When you can do these things, it will shift the way you even see someone who's angry. And when you shift the way you see someone who's angry, it'll change the way you approach them. When you approach people from a place of, look, I want to be a safe space for you. You've got a lot of anger going on right now. You got a lot of stuff to get off your chest. I really like the way it's coming across, but to be honest, I just want to be here for you. Go ahead and get it out. Let me understand what's going on with you. When you can approach people from that perspective, you make yourself a safe space. And when you can make yourself a safe space for people, then they can go ahead and get out what they need to get out, and then shift from the part of their brain that's all about anger to the part of their brain that's about thinking and problem solving. And now we can start to get somewhere. And that is how you talk to an angry person.